Just a real quick summary, those of you that don't know who we are 100% Microsoft SQL Server focused, so we focus on the entire Microsoft BI stack here at Pragmatic Works. We have a team of Microsoft MVPs, some really great authors, presenters, a lot of really smart, knowledgeable people here, and we offer software solutions, training, and professional services. So like I said, we're Microsoft SQL Server focused, so we're a gold partner. We're Microsoft's only national solution provider for BI. And like I said, we do a lot of great work. So my name is Sean Warwick. I've been with Pragmatic Works just a little over 6 months now. And I'm a BI consultant here. I'm a community speaker. And I have a blog at seanwarwick.com, and the content of this webinar will be there as well. So I have a blog post about this exact topic up on my website, and it has a little bit more depth, a little bit more detail, and all the content that you may or may not see here. So I've got 4 kids, and surprisingly, I still have quite a bit of hair. So diving right into it, you know, most of us use flat file consumption in almost every single project we have. It's probably, I'd say, the most common data source for SSIS consumption. I know a lot of people use database sources as well, but you know, this begs the question, why do we need regular expressions? Why can't we just use the innate tasks that come with SSIS? And the answer is pretty simple. The standard loop container doesn't have flexibility. It's very, I wouldn't say it's very rigid, but it doesn't have the flexibility that I think we could use on a lot of projects. Now, you have the capability to go in there and specify folders, you know, your wildcard searches, so it can loop over dynamic folders. It can filter by dynamic file types, so this can be, you know, your CSVs, your star.txts, anything you want. And you can filter by a dynamic file spec. Now, file spec is just the little part here in the middle that says files, and you can specify in there, you know, some kind of word, and then it's going to do a match on that word to go ahead and filter out all the files. Now, what can it not do? Well, you can't do any regular expressions, and we'll get to why that might be useful. You cannot have multiple file types. So you can't have in there, you know, a star.csv or a star.txt combined. You can't have them both, and you can't have multiple file specs. You can't have multiple wildcards in there. So it satisfies probably 95% of the type of file consumption that we're going to do, but there's, you know, those 5% where you may need some additional flexibility. So just to give you an example and show you what I'm talking about here, I have a set of files that, you know, you can see here. These are just some example credit card authorization files that we're going to import, and you can see that the file names come in through with the word AUTH in the file name, and some of them have an extension, some of them do not. So this becomes a problem when we have multiple file types in the same directory. So if I were to just pull up my solution here that has an example of this. So I have a file filter container, and you know, we use our standard for loop container, and we specify in here where our collection is, what the folder is, what our specifications are for the wildcard search, and then of course what we want to store the file name as. Fully qualified would be the entire directory. The name only would just be, you know, the file name .txt or CSV or whatever it is. And of course we place that into a user variable here. If I were to run this, as of right now, my file spec only has star.star. So what I'm just going to get every file that I want in there. Well, that may work out great, and if we run this, and we want to process everything in there, we'll notice that it goes through, and we can see it's looping over, right? We can see it iterating. The check marks are coming green and going back to the gold wheel and stuff. And we'll notice that these files are disappearing and they've all gone into my archive. And if I go ahead and look and see what's in the data, I can see all the files that were processed. So generally when I write these kinds of packages, I like to know what files I processed, when I processed them, if these were inserts, updates to destinations. And we can see that 5 of these files have been processed, and our end table has about 280,000 rows. So it does what we want, but what if we get both a monthly, so you see this has AUTH, MTH, and a daily file in the same directory. So somehow IT has not segregated this out, or our third-party company just FTPs it and drops it all into the same directory. How do we pull out one versus the other? Well, we could process the AUTH month. We could put that as a file spec. We could go back here and we could change this parameter here to say AUTH MTH, but we'd have to make sure we run this first, and then it would only process our monthly. So I think hopefully you're seeing where we're lacking some of the flexibility to process only a specific set of files in one directory. So there is a way to achieve this pretty easily, I think, with an SSIS script task. Now, what is a script task? Well, it's that neat little icon over here on the left that just says script task, and you can click and drag it in, and basically what it is it provides code to perform functions that are not available in the built-in tasks and transformations. So like I said earlier, these are not built in part of the standard tool set. So SSIS script tasks give you the capability to extend, expand, and really do anything you want almost with C# code or VB code. So the script task can combine functions into one script. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So why do we want to use a script task? Well, it's lightweight. Beginning in SQL Server 2008, all the scripts are precompiled. So anytime you run this package, the code is already precompiled. It's pretty fast. It's very flexible because you have the ability to use any of the .NET library. So depending on the version of SQL Server, I think with 2008 it's 3.5. Any of that library is available to you. You can also extend it and expand it. You just have to make sure that the registries, the global assemblies have the packages or the libraries that you want installed on those specific servers. But if you stick to the standard 3.5 .NET library, or I think 2016 it's 4.6, which is even a bigger set, it comes with the SQL Server installation, so you don't have to worry about any third-party installations. So you also have, like I said, the .NET framework, which is standard for all SQL Server installations. Now, when you create a script task, you have the option to use Visual Basic or C#. Now, why would you choose one over the other? Well, in my opinion, it's just a matter of preference. Visual Basic is the standard for all the expressions within SSIS. So, for example, if I were to come down to, any of my variables, you can see I have an expression here, and any of the expressions in your variables, or actually anywhere in any of your constraints or tasks, they use Visual Basic. So the argument can be made to use Visual Basic. Personally, I prefer C# because to me it's more of a platform language. It's a little bit more commonly adopted, and most people that have any kind of programming background have taken C++ or C# and should know the libraries at least reasonably well. So I prefer the C#, and the important thing to remember is if you use the C#, you're going to need to include the following namespaces, which is the regular expressions, the collections generic, and the IO. Now the expressions, of course, is pretty obvious. If we want to do regular expressions, we have to include that library. The generic collections is just for string functions, and the IO is to pass parameters back and forth from the package to the script task. This is the C# code that you will put in your script task. So at the very beginning of your package, we will have a variable that will say what the source is, where our files sit, and we're going to pass that to the script task. Once once that executes, we're going to go in here and go get all of the files in that directory using the C code here. We're going to put them into a string array, create a file filter expression, create a regular expression, and then we're going to loop over the entire set and see which ones match using the regular expression matching function and which ones do not. Any of the ones that match, we're going to append to an object that will be returned. So if we go to our regular expression demo here, here's the script task that we add. So instead of using, remember over here in the file filter container, we used the file loop container. We use the for each file loop container. We're not going to use that this time. We're going to use the, come on. Locked up on me. Just a moment. What we would use is the file filter apologize for the technical issue here. But what we're going to use for this one is the for each file in an object loop container. So we have an object in our variables here. If we go to our variables, I created an object, and it's called object file list, and it's a system object. And so what we do is we pass that to the script container, the script task. The script task populates that with all the files that match our regular expression, and then we simply loop over that object and process our files one at a time. So we just change that to use the object loop container, and in the collection it's going to use the for each from variable, and our variable is the object file list. Every time we go over that variable, we put that into the source file name, and we process accordingly. Now, I tend to put my parameters at the package level, so I have in my package my file filter expression here. So here's a great example of why we would want to use that. So in here I say I only want the authorizations that are followed by a number, which to me is going to denote as a daily file. So if I only want to process the files for the day, not for the month, I put any regular expression I want. I happen to put this one in just so I can get back only the files that have AUTH with some kind of number after it. And if I do that, and I run it, just a moment. Looks like it crashed on me. Sorry, folks. This has nothing to do with the script task, by the way. But going back to here, so I have to take all these back out of the archive, and I can go put these back in my directory. And once again, I'm just going to make sure that this has my regular expression that I want. Then I'll go ahead and run the package. Webinar.ispac. Integration services pack file is currently being used. I have no idea why. Well, I hate to not show you, but what's going to happen is it's going to go through and it will only process this file, and this file. The two monthly files will not go in there. Only these three files will be processed. So I think that's related to me not rebooting or something, but that's basically how that would happen. So when we so that's how we would do it with the regular expression and the script task. I guess it's open up to questions now. Liz,
Yes.
do we want to open it up for questions? Anyone have any questions?
Sure. Someone did say to fix the problem you were having to bring up the task manager and kill the SSIS processes still running in the background.
It's not running though. That's the thing.
Oh,
It's not running.
okay.
It's somewhere the file is locked, and but
Gotcha. Okay, let's see what else we got. Someone said to reboot.
yeah, see, that's what I said.
Yeah. Someone said to just bring up the task manager.
I did.
Um, yeah. And then a couple of people were wanting to know if your the C# loop code will be available after the call, and if the
Yes.
package will be available.
So I included it both in the PowerPoint presentation that I will be included on the meeting invite, and then it's also on my blog on seanwarwick.com. So all of that content is available there.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions or?
Yeah, I'm looking through right now. Sorry, just have to go through. Can you export data with SSIS also, or is it just used to import data?
You can use SSIS for just about anything. It can even make your lunch for you. And the reason I say that is because it does have that script task. So the answer is yes, you can use SSIS to export anything you want. There is you go to the output task. If I would just have to do a data flow task and I would output it to a file. So the answer is yes. But you could even do any of that in the SSIS script task, which is why those are so powerful, because you have any of the capabilities with any of the innate tasks, but additional flexibility, library functions, all of those things to where you could do all of it with the script task. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could.
Okay. Which transformation are you using to archive the files?
I'm using the move. I think it's a move. Let me see here. I think it's just called move. The Yeah, move file.
Okay.
File system task is what it is.
Okay.
So for going back to that script task and the power that you have, for some people want to take these archive files and zip them up and compress them and archive them. So theoretically, you could use that script task again uh, and go and look in your folder that has all of your files, and you can loop over them all and add them, and using the .NET framework, you can actually zip up files as well, so you can compress them and then still archive them.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just going through everything.
Or
Can you
encrypt and decrypt. Some people use them to encrypt and decrypt their files too. Sorry, go ahead.
okay? Can you unzip the files using SSIS?
The answer is yes. There is a library that you have to include, but it is still part of the .NET framework. So now it's a little more complicated if there's any kind of encryption. So if it's a zip file with encryption, you have to have the key. It gets a lot more complicated. The answer is yes, but you have to kind of dig into it and get a little bit dirty if there's any kind of encryption, password security, any of that stuff.
Someone was asking what all the TF items are in the toolbox. Those are Task Factory. Task Factory is one of our products. Scroll down. Do you output error handling from script tasks?
You can, I would not though. So there is you can capture errors. So when you write your script task, it's just like any C# code. You can use try, catch, you can use any of those functions, and you can catch them and hand them back and forth from the package to the script task So you do have that flexibility, but generally I like to use this really great product called Pragmatic Workbench that actually does all of the error handling for you, all the auditing, all the row, all the row counts, everything. It does it all for you. So you could write some of that stuff by hand, but we already have a lot of that, and I use that to do all my auditing and error logging. So, but for in here, I could have a try catch anywhere in this code that if for some reason this directory did not exist, so theoretically I should probably have it, but I don't. So if the directory does not exist, I might want to catch the error and throw a message back saying the directory does not exist, and then stop the package.
Okay. Other than preference, is there a technical reason to prefer C# over VB.NET? Will C# do important things that VB won't?
So that's a great question. I had this discussion with a couple of people that we work with, and the answer is no. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I have my own personal opinion. I like C# better. I think it works better. I think, underneath the underpinnings of SQL Server is C and C#, so why not leverage some of that? I would assume it performs a little bit better. I've seen benchmarks that go both ways though. So I've seen benchmarks where people have done some processing with C# that are faster, and I've seen some people that have done benchmarks with VB that have been faster. So I think it just comes down to a matter of preference. I prefer C# because it is more of a standard language in the industry, but I could certainly understand if some people wanted to stick with Visual Basic because, like I said, all of the expressions in SSIS are Visual Basic. So, that way you have one consistent language in all of your packages. So I could see both sides. There's really no right or wrong answer, though.
Okay. Someone wants to know where they can learn more about regular expressions.
So at the very end of my blog, I can show you, there is a great resource, and actually this is on my blog. Go to seanwerk.com. You go to regex, or what is this called? rexegg.com, and there's a whole cheat sheet. See, I learned regular expressions in college, but to be honest, I'm not so good at them. So I use this cheat sheet quite a bit, and it'll tell you how to check for email, how to check for, any regular expression you can come up with, someone's already written it. So if they've already written it, why not go out and use it?
Okay. Someone wants to know why they should not use script tests to move files.
Why they should not use it?
Or I guess why not use script tests to move files? I guess that's what they're asking.
You can. The only reason I would not is, the script task is great because it does have all the flexibility. You can, move files, but the only thing that I find is is a problem, but it kind of comes down to training and knowledge, is that you could hide a lot of things under the hood here and you wouldn't know what's going on. So for my script task, I've specifically labeled it get files using regular expression because that's all that it does. Theoretically, you could use that to archive as well. You could use your script test to do anything you wanted, but the important thing is to make sure that, kind of like triggers, you don't want a lot of things going on underneath, behind the scenes to where somebody else comes in and they don't know what's going on. So you can. I prefer to use the standard tools, and I only like to branch out when it doesn't have the capabilities and flexibility that I need.
Okay. We have multiple flat files that are loaded to a separate table for each source file. Could we achieve that using one df task like this example? Currently, we have a separate df task for each flat file.
The answer is yes, you could use one DF task. Now, if the file, now the metadata has to be the same. So in other words, the file structure has to be the exact same for all the files, because remember the metadata is defined in the connection manager. So it's going to tell you, this is the metadata. It tells you what the data types are and the names are. So as long as the data types are consistent across all of the file types, you can do that and you can use that, and you should, because you should run things in parallel. You should, if you have daily files and monthly files and all sorts of different files that you want to process at the same time, and they're all kind of the same structure, you should process them in parallel, and maybe break it down by group so you're using that multi-threaded capability that comes with SQL Server. But the important thing is it does have to have the same metadata information, so the file structures have to be exactly the same. If they're not, you have to have a separate connection manager and a separate connection for each.
Okay. I have a different flat file layouts that I want to import into my database. Let's say I have 4 formats. Can I implement a solution with one for each loop and have 4 data tasks to import into my database?
So the answer is yes. You're going to have dependencies. So you're going to have we have these precedence constraints. So what we would have to do is, based on the file type that's being processed, so I would assume the files are labeled differently. So if they're labeled differently, so for example, one file has this in the name, another file has that in the name, based on that file, you may split out, like from something like this, split out to multiple data flows and use that expression and send, if it has this file has this in the name, we'll pass it over to the left side over here, and then the other one we might pass to the right. So the answer is yes, but you would have to use some expressions and some splitting.
Okay. Can you run PowerShell from SSIS?
Yes, you can run. I think you can run. Now that's not using the task, the SSIS script task. That would be using the process task. So the answer is yes. You could run a batch file. You could run really anything through this process because you can run any executable. So a shell task or script PowerShell could be a batch file that you run. So the answer is yes. But that would use the execute process task, not the script task.
Are you able to download the attachment from Office 365 shared mailbox?
Office, are you able to download the attachment? So your source would be, I guess, so you see I have a mail server set down here, and the reason I do that is usually at the end of my packages, I'll either, send an email saying there's success or no, the package failed and here's why. You would have to tie to a server, and the answer is yes, but you'd have to jump through quite a few hoops. You'd have to know which file you're looking at. You'd have to go look up a lot of the library functions. I don't know those off the top of my head. So the answer is yes, but it's kind of a pain in the bottom. So
Okay. Performance-wise, have you benchmarked PowerShell scripts?
I have not. I know PowerShell scripts are supposed to be faster. I just have a preference to SSIS because I like the visual look and feel to it. So I can look at this package and I know exactly what's going on without actually reading any text. I know that I'm looping over files. I know that I'm inserting inserting here, inserting there. I have a preference, and mine is this, but PowerShell has its place too. If you're doing a lot of bulk updates or a lot of bulk inserts, PowerShell is probably a better choice in terms of performance, but I still don't think my opinion is it's negligible. I still think SSIS is extremely good at doing bulk inserts. And remember, you can specify whenever you're doing any kind of inserts, you can specify the number of rows you're doing in batch or the amount of data that you're passing in batch. So you can tweak that, optimize that. You notice it's a little bit slower. You can tweak it, run it again. You'll notice it's running faster, maybe change your row set. So there are things you can do to optimize that. I just prefer SSIS.
What is the difference between script component versus script task in SSIS?
Yeah, great question. So the script component is done at the row level. So a script task is done at the package level. So here we are in the main package, and I go in the control flow, and there is a script task. So this is at the package level. At the data flow level, I could have a script component, and what that does is it will do whatever you put in the script for every single row coming through the data flow. So if I were to drag this over, that could be a source destination transformation. We'll just say it's a transformation. I would change my path from my source, and I would have it flow through the script component, and then from the script component, it would go down through the rest of them. So I may have some transformations, or you may want to do some lookups to a third-party tool. There's a lot of things you could do, but remember it's a row-by-row script, so you have to make sure that it's extremely efficient, and not many people use it. It's pretty rarely used.
Okay. Can I convert Excel XLS file to XLSX?
Yes, so I think it depends. I think in the .NET framework you can export and you can convert files. I want to say 100% yes, but I'm not for sure because there is upward compatibility. So you're going from XLS, which of course is 2007, and you're going to XLSX, which is 2010 and 13. So there is a forward compatibility issue, but I do think that it comes with the 3.5 library. I think you can do that. And if not, you can always do a CSV. A CSV is every Excel file knows how to open a CSV.
Okay. Is there file conversion in SSIS such as converting Word to HTML or Word to PDF?
I think some of those are part of the .NET, the 3.5 framework. I don't know though. I know there's a PDF you can convert to PDF. I don't know about converting from Word to RTF to HTML and some of those things. I would assume so because that's all part of Office, and almost anything that's part of Office is part of the framework. So I would assume so, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
Okay. Can you send a file to an SFTP server once you create a flat file?
Yes. So there's actually a task. I think there's a task called FTP right here. So you just have to tell it the file. So you move over the FTP task and you tell it, what the connection is. You have to set all this up just like you do all your other connections at the connection manager at the bottom. You'd have to specify that. So that would have your IP address of your FTP server, your username, your password, if there's any encryption, what the encryption is, all those things. So the answer is yes.
Can you read a list from SharePoint?
Yes. But you don't need to use the script task for that. You can use there's a data source, just a regular data flow. Let me see. So the answer is yes. I'd have to go back and look it up, but you can use a SharePoint list as a source.
That was the last question. All right. Well,
Okay.
again, sorry about the technical issues, guys. As Sean said, he has all of it on his blog. Was seanwerrick.com, correct, Sean?
That's correct.
We will also post a link to it on our social media sites, so make sure you're following us there. As always, the recordings will be available by the end of the week. And if you can't get to Sean's blog and you would like a copy of the presentation, please just email me, Liz. I wasn't able to get it up in time before the session started. Someone, again, is asking the blog URL. It's seanwerrick.com, so Sean's name. Again, thanks everybody for joining us for our first session of 2016, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.